Welcome to South Africa's part of the 24-hour vigil to mark Genocide Awareness Month. My name is Mdunduli, and I represent the South African Holocaust and Genocide Foundation. The foundation acts as an association of 3 independent Holocaust and Genocide Centres throughout South Africa, in the city of Cape Town, the city of Durban, and the city of Johannesburg. The foundation supports Holocaust and genocide education through teacher training, development of resources, and organized seminars. Through educational and public programs, the foundation, through its 3 independent centers, raises awareness of Holocaust and genocide history and uses this history as a platform to focus on human rights issues in South Africa today. The foundation is involved in educational initiatives in South Africa and throughout the African continent. The South African Holocaust and Genocide Foundation is dedicated to creating a more caring and just society in which human rights and diversity are respected and valued. The mission of the foundation is firstly to serve as a memorial to the 6 million Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust, all victims of Nazism, and the more than 800,000 Tutsi victims of the genocide in Rwanda. Secondly, to teach about the consequences of prejudice, racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, and xenophobia. Thirdly, to promote an understanding of the dangers of indifference, apathy, and silence. And finally, to raise awareness of genocide with a particular focus on the Holocaust and the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. Our South Africa's Vigil will start with 2 songs. The first one will be performed by the wonderful Johannesburg-based singer Lee Nudelman. This will connect us to the world that was lost in the Holocaust. The second one will be performed by the inspiring Cape Town-based Rwanda genocide survivor and artist Prince Neogene Niwenshuti. This will be followed by the reading of victims' names by South African high school students. All names are of family members of Holocaust and Rwanda genocide survivors who settled in South Africa.
You saw blood and darkness where there used to be milk and happiness, where there used to be wealth, now it's poverty and danger to health. You saw your people losing humanity, evil, violated conscience and made it empty, evil, developing your culture, but nothing was done to stop the fire. So cold, enlightened in the sciences, educated, civilized, and the so-called free, destroy you instead of saving us. Highway, hey, 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 Rwanda, Uyana, Uya, Nibikondiri, Hangari, Sumena, Moro, Uteri, Bere, I'm a summon, I'm a so Koyani, Bisaka, Africa, no queasy, highway, hey, 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 Africa, oh yeah, Nibi Kongiri, Komezo Twazo Dauga, Africa, Twese Tugusigasire, Tuikirezi Kwanda, Hangaristo Mobimono Rukundo, Rwanye Kwikubira, Ibirwara Nitara, Nakabuza, Imbere hawe neza, Atembaga mata, atemba maraso, ahahora kuki, ubukene bukigita amasaso. Wabonye abawe babura ubuntu, ububisha bubaho n'umutima n'amanyamuntu, incuke ziracuka kuko n'amacuka, buzuye imfubyi abapfakazi abanyururu u Rwanda. Iryera umuco ucengerwamo n'ibico, urebera icakubiri ntiwarica, abakura baribo bari bibi kudaca, umutima namuribagirana urazima, ubuhanga bw'abiyita intore n'intiti, abiyita ngo barajijutse, ngo barakize kandi barigenga, baradutabaho kudutabara iwe. Hey, 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 Rwanda, uya.
We, the youth of South Africa, are reading the names of victims of the Holocaust and the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. These names are family members of survivors who settled in South Africa. May we always remember them. Kabayizi Ildefonse, Kabayizi Marabu, Kabayizi Tintin, Kabayizi Kaitetsi, Ramuhizi Alois, Iranyawera Alice, Ndamage Vincent, Muhirwa Charles, Kayigi Gaspard, Umurungi Jean. All born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi.
Franza Ev and Irene Lee Schlesinger, born in Baki Petrofaz, Yugoslavia, murdered in the Holocaust. Elias and Frederica de Souza Pimentel, born in Amsterdam, Holland, murdered in the Holocaust. Elizabeth Gross, born in Zagreb, now Croatia, murdered in the Holocaust. Sidonia Kranz, born in Zagreb, now Croatia, murdered in the Holocaust. Gertrude and Hans Eichmann, born in Bastelzulfen, Germany, murdered in the Holocaust. Nessun Melo, born on Rhodes Island, now Greece, murdered in the Holocaust. Martha Horner, born in Krakow, Poland, murdered in the Holocaust.
Vanya Mendels, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Ndabareo Beatrice, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. Mstislav Stila, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Slavik Stila, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Mushatsi Edward, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. Elizabeth Gradis, born in Latvia, murdered in the Holocaust. Fivish Gradis, born in Latvia, murdered in the Holocaust. Rachel Gradis, born in Latvia, murdered in the Holocaust. Birumgiro Bernard, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Leo Marx, born in Germany, murdered at Auschwitz-Birkenau.
Hella Turner, born in Nowatarg, Poland, murdered in Balzich Killing Center. Sila Turner, born in Nowatarg, Poland, murdered in Balzich Killing Center. Leah Turner, born in Nowatarg, Poland, murdered in Balzich Killing Center. Kagofero Pierre, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Benjamin Flint, born in Otwock, Poland, murdered in the Treblinka Killing Center. Kana Claude, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Yehudis Kaplan, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Shaul Kaplan, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Leib Kaplan, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Kayeye Clement, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi.
Hilda Marx, born in Germany, murdered in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Ingabire Marie Galette, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Alta Benjamin Kaluska, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Bela Kaluska, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Leon Kaluska, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Karegeya Jean de Dieu, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Nina Kushner, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Wolf Kushner, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. China Kushner, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Kadushi Celestin, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi.
Family of Irene Grohl, Adolf and Elizabeth Kayem. Family of Miriam Lichterman, Pearl Yaakov, Israel and Moshe Teitelbaum. Family of Ella Blumenthal, Chaim Chava, Esther Itzchak, Gela and Ruth Frank. Family of Pinchas Guta, Chaya Menachem and Sabina Guta. Family of Henia Breyer, Ali Melech and Abraham Fishman.
Yangui Ezekiel, born in Rwanda, murdered in 1994 genocide against Tutsi. Hannah Baum, born in Belgium, murdered in the Holocaust. Jacob Baum, born in Belgium, murdered in the Holocaust. Netandayera Pauline, born in Rwanda, murdered in 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Moshe Hirsch Gowitz, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Blume Gowitz, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Deborah Gowitz, born in Vilna, Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Busiena Charles, born in Rwanda, murdered in 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Kaningwa Aline, born in Rwanda, murdered in 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Kaningwa Hamana, born in Rwanda, murdered in 1994 genocide against the Tutsi.
Figa Kaplan, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Ntandayera Pauline, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Menachem Mendel Guta, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Sabina Guta, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Remarika Monique, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Bella Kraus, born in the Netherlands, murdered in the Holocaust. Mariska Kraus, born in Hungary, murdered in the Holocaust. Jenno Kraus, born in Hungary, murdered in the Holocaust. Muriel Kraus, born in Hungary, murdered in the Holocaust. Sanja Kraus, born in Hungary, murdered in the Holocaust.
Rosie Kraus, born in Hungary, murdered in the Holocaust. Niramana Agnes, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. Golda Schweiman, born in Belgium, murdered in the Holocaust. Riva Schweiman, born in Belgium, murdered in the Holocaust. Gasana Adidas, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. Deborah Weishman, born in Belgium, murdered in the Holocaust. Sebanani Augustin, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. Basha Migdal, born in Belgium, murdered in the Holocaust. Mukagatare Vestine, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. Tobias Hetner, born in Belgium, murdered in Auschwitz-Birkenau.
Feige Pipes, born in Poland, murdered in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Muhigire Pasteur, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. David Zark, born in Latvia, murdered in the Holocaust. Rebecca Zark, born in Latvia, murdered in the Holocaust. Kiramira Laurent, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Berta Dukarovitz, born in Latvia, murdered in the Holocaust. Sain Zorga Paul, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Zalda Kaplan, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Alka Kaplan, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Chaya Kaplan, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust.
Fritz and Gerda Hammerstein, born in Braunschweig, Germany, murdered in the Holocaust. Eliezer Yakov Breiner and Feige Katz, born in Masudis, Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Helena Bachmann, born in Hamburg, Germany, murdered in the Holocaust. Robert Bachmann, born in Hamburg, Germany, murdered in the Holocaust. Moritz and Regi Welisch, born in Vienna, Austria, murdered in the Holocaust. Peter Welisch, born in Vienna, Austria, murdered in the Holocaust.
Shayna Vexler, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Shmuel Vexler, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Mutateli Alice, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Ita Todres, born in Lithuania, murdered in the Holocaust. Uraineza Esperance, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Meir Gotz, born in Hungary, murdered in the Holocaust. Kaningwa Tade, born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Joshua Pipes, born in Poland, murdered in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Rivka Pipes, born in Poland, murdered in Auschwitz-Birkenau. David Pipes, born in Poland, murdered in the Holocaust.
Simele Putterman, born in Skarżewska Kamienia, Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Yosel Putterman, born in Skarżewska Kamienia, Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Alfred and Margaret Altman, born in Breslau, Germany, murdered in the Holocaust. Alexander Bier, born in Berlin, Germany, murdered in the Holocaust. Mariana Grantfeld, born in Katowice, Poland, murdered in the Holocaust. Louis and Rosalie Hammerstein, born in Germany, murdered in the Holocaust. Hermann and Frieda Bauchenheimer, born in Braunschweig, Germany, murdered in the Holocaust.
Kageruka Lambert, Kageruka Emable, Kageruka Solange, Kageruka Charlotte, Kanyingwa Thedi, Kanyingwa Thierry, Kanyingwa Aline, Kanyingwa Hamana, Matabaro Gilbert, Ateke Kimana Fulbert, all were born in Rwanda, murdered in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi.
After the Second World War, approximately 350 Holocaust survivors settled in South Africa. Rwandan survivors came to South Africa after the 1994 genocide for medical treatment, economic opportunities, and university study, and some of them settled in the country. We will now share with you a few testimonies from some of these survivors.
We had arrived in Ravensbrück at night, and as I said, they opened the wagons and they started shouting, "Hinaus, hinaus," with the dogs and, you know, these SS women, and schnell, schnell. We couldn't see, it was dark.
They gave us shoes from the people that got killed in Auschwitz, second-hand shoes. And in Blecheme, they gave me the number on my hand. The number was 184738, and that was my name actually.
My number was 48,632 with a blue triangle underneath the number. This was the sign of a Jew. And from then on, I was no more Lafranc. I was prisoner, Häftling number 48,632, and that is how I was reporting myself.
They used to wake us up early in the morning, like 6 o'clock. They used to count us, and they called out not the name, they called out the number, and I had to say, yes, jawohl, I'm here, to count if somebody's not missing. But if somebody was missing, then they could take out a few people and to shot them straight away.
We settled in the barracks, and our daily occupation was running with stones, backwards and forwards. In the morning, we'd line up, and the couples would divide us, and then you started running with stones, and you piled up the stones, and when the pile was too big, then you took the same stones and ran backwards with the stones, and then you ran that way.
The SS were very cruel. They were screaming and shouting and beating the inmates all the time. And we didn't know what we were supposed to do because they were screaming so much. There were mountains of shoes and glasses, and we were told that this is from the lodge, that big transport that came from the lodge ghetto. And we were supposed to sort these things out, but how can you sort out millions of shoes that were loose? They're not even tied together. And we realized where the shoes came from. So it was a doubly awful job to do.
When I got my one slice of bread, I had a big problem. Do I eat that whole big meal now? Or do I keep a piece for myself until the afternoon when I know I'm going to be bloody hungry? And I remember my decision to eat the whole thing was based on the fact that I was a child. And everybody else was also hungry. And if an adult came to me and tried to take it off me, I could not prevent him from doing it, unless I'd eaten it.
Still in Majdanek, we saw a girl being hanged, and the commandant of the camp said, "This is going to happen to every one of you who try to escape."
Sometimes you stood for hours and hours and hours in the freezing cold, and if somebody collapsed, they put the dogs on them. And my mother was very conscious that, you know, I was very small, so what she did was, I think of it now, she put her hand over both my eyes so I couldn't see all these horrible things. She put her thumb in my ears so I wouldn't hear.
Me, my brother Bernard, and Jeff, we went down to the lake because we said we shouldn't hide in the same place. Because maybe if they find one, they might kill one, and the others will survive. But now the problem, there were hippos in that lake. We saw like 40 of them. So we decided to go on top of a tree. Down they went into the lake. So now we could see where they were swimming, their destination. Now it's 7 o'clock, the sun is out, which means the killers are out also, because in the morning that's when you could hear the screaming, the chasing, the dogs. I had a friend, we didn't even know he was hiding not far from there. So we saw him, they found him, dogs. That boy was not really a good swimmer, so he jumped into the water, he tried to swim, but they came, they had guns, they shot him. He was in my class, I remember him. That day, that's when I was like, okay, this is real. Because that was the first time I saw someone being just killed in front of me. But couldn't, nothing, could just keep quiet. Pray that they don't find you.
Rwandans people used to believe that in the church, no one should attack a church, and whoever was there had to be safe. Attacking church is like attacking God. In the morning we hear bomb, everywhere. So now we've been attacked. What was the difference? There were cows. The cow is in front of you, and then you throw stone. It comes to a time whereby the cows run away. Now is a war face to face. So they hit me at the back, everywhere, and here. But then, let me tell you that the memory when you know that you're going to die, I think there's no pains. My soul was gone, my spirit was gone. What was there was just a body. I never feel anything, but I remember when they hit me here, I told myself, you know what, if they hit me again, I'm gone. But the fact that too much blood was out, they were just seeing blood only. They thought, oh, we're done with this one. Yeah, it's dead. The morning they're coming to bury us, or they're coming to check whoever's still alive. I ran away. This Catholic sister, the one who was from Germany, was having a medical center. He used to keep on bribing people always that they must not kill us.
In 2009, as a grade 8 learner at St. Stithians Girls College, my classmates and I had the privilege of meeting Xavier Ngabo and hearing his tragic account of what had happened to him during the genocide in Rwanda. For a period, Xavier lived in Johannesburg, where he volunteered at the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Centre. I remember being 14 years old, sitting alongside my friends and classmates in our chapel. In history, we had been learning about the atrocities that had happened during the genocide in Rwanda. And now before us stood this kind, humble man and a survivor of these traumatic events. With tears in our eyes, we were deeply moved by all that Xavier had endured. Xavier had lost his entire family before and during the genocide. Many survivors have the need to figure out how their family members died, to retrieve their remains and give them a dignified burial. During his account to us, Xavier expressed how he too wished to figure out what happened to his family.
Our grade of girls were compassionate individuals who felt strongly about finding some way to help Xavier and to honor his family. We made it our mission to help raise funds for him to find out what happened, just as he had expressed to us. Through baking sales and generous donations, we achieved that goal, and later in 2009, Xavier returned home. There, he uncovered the fates of his parents through the Gachacha courts. Xavier's father, Mushatsi Edward, was killed on the 23rd of January 1991 at a roadblock in Rugeshi village. Bandora, one of the confessed killers, helped Xavier locate his father's remains. Xavier's mother, Ndibereho Beatrice, was hidden by her Hutu neighbor, Marciana, but was tracked down and killed by the Interahamwe on the 9th of April 1994. When Xavier located and exhumed his mother's remains, she was still wearing her rosary and holding the key to her home.
On the 9th of May 2010, Beatrice and Edward's remains were buried together in one coffin at the Mukamira Memorial Site. 9 years later, I found myself walking through the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Centre, reading all the inspirational stories of the Rwandan survivors. Immediately, I was taken back to hearing about Xavier's survival story all those years ago. And as I reflected on how we have had an impact on his life and wondered where he was and how he was doing, I turned a corner in the museum and saw Xavier's story up on the wall, retelling his past and explaining the role that we had in his reconciliation. I felt so proud at that moment to know that as a group of grade 8s, only 14 years old, we had made such a difference in somebody else's life and had helped Xavier in his healing process. Perhaps it's the years of maturity and experience that I've gained in the past decade that helped me truly recognize the importance of what we did and see the strength that Xavier must have had to overcome that hardship.
We all make choices throughout each day and throughout our lives. But sometimes this right to choose can become such a heavy burden, especially during a time of devastation and genocide. Because often people are faced with such tough and gut-wrenching choices, and sometimes they are faced with choiceless choices. Nobody chooses to be a victim, but some people may choose to be bystanders. Others may choose to risk their lives to rescue others, and they become rescuers or upstanders. We are now going to look at some of those choices that many people had to make during the Holocaust and the 1994 genocide in Rwanda.
First They Came, a poem by German theologian Pastor Martin Niemöller. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, but there was no one left to speak out for me.
Sister Helene, who saved the lives of many Tutsi in Rwanda during the genocide in 1994, reflected, "We were stopped at one roadblock where soldiers were killing people. They told everyone to leave the truck. I told our people not to give out their identity cards. I had given everyone school uniforms so they looked like students. We witnessed killings in front of us. I quarreled with the leaders. Why don't you let us go back? They are young kids that need to be fed. They told us to give them money, but we had given them all the money that we had. They let us go back to the health institute as I promised to bring them more money tomorrow. I kept the students and other families in 2 dormitories. We had food and firewood. I locked everyone inside to hide them so people who came to steal wouldn't be able to find them. The soldiers would abuse me and talk hell, but they would not get what they wanted, so they would just leave. I was very lucky that the people I was hiding didn't make any noise, and so whenever thieves and killers came, there was no sign of them. It's not me who saved them, it's God that saved them. I did not have any special superpowers."
This story is about the rescue of Holocaust survivor Helene Zief, who now lives in Johannesburg. In the summer of 1943, Helene's parents, who lived in Brussels, asked the resistance to find a hiding place for their little daughter. They contacted Josine Bobryshev, a widow with 3 children who lived in the village of Mabrehan in Belgium. Helene was warmly welcomed and received as Josine's 4th child. Despite difficult economic circumstances, as she never received the promised ration stamps from the resistance, Helene stayed in hiding with Josine for more than 2 years, until liberation in September 1944. A month later, she was reunited with her parents. After tremendous efforts by Helene, in 1982, Josine Bobryshev was recognized by Yad Vashem as righteous among the nations.
Silas, who saved the lives of many Tutsi in Rwanda during the genocide in 1994, reflected, "I was a soldier when the genocide began. The atmosphere was tense in the military camp. Soldiers running up and down, making phone calls to their families, asking how things were evolving. There was news that killings were taking place. Another soldier and I wondered what we could possibly do. There were people that we knew and used to visit, so we did not quite understand how these innocent people could be killed for no apparent reason. One day, I saw a truck full of soldiers heading back to camp, so I stopped them for a ride. On our way, we met an old woman and a kid. The soldiers were going to kill them, so I stopped and told them not to waste their time, that I would kill them myself. They left them with me. I took them to a dense forest, and after I'd made sure that there was no one around, I explained why I had brought them there. I told the old woman not to wander in the forest, but to wait there for me. That night, I went back and took them to Burundi."
Carl Wilkins was the director of the Rwandan Adventist Development and Relief Agency International. He was the only American who chose to stay in Rwanda during the genocide after other foreigners had been evacuated. He met Damas Gisimba, the director of an orphanage in Kigali, who was secretly providing safe haven for 400 people. When militias prepared to attack the orphanage, Wilkins pleaded with the Prime Minister, Jean Kambanda, to save the people at the orphanage. Thanks to Wilkins and Gisimba's intervention, the people in hiding were evacuated to a safer place in Kigali. I was there trying to stop the militia from entering. They asked the children to split up into 2 groups, Hutu on one side and Tutsi on the other. But the children, as I always told them, they were one. They should be united. They did not want to separate.
This story is about the rescue of Moshe Turner, the father of Tali Nates, the director of the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Centre. Moshe and his brother Heinrich were rescued by Oskar Schindler. Schindler was born in Sudetenland in a German Catholic family. In February 1939, he joined the Nazi Party. Following the German invasion in Poland in September 1939, he moved to Krakow, appropriated a factory that previously belonged to Jews, and accumulated a fortune. Starting as a perpetrator, Schindler curiously transformed into a rescuer as he witnessed Nazi atrocities and used his newfound fortune to save Jews. When deportations from the Krakow ghetto began, he protected his Jewish labourers and, using bribes and personal connections, tried to ensure the well-being of his workers, often at his own risk. In March 1943, when the Krakow ghetto was brutally liquidated, Schindler saved his Jewish workers by keeping them in the factory overnight. In October 1944, after the SS transferred the factory's Jews to the Plazow camp and it became clear that all would be sent to Auschwitz, Schindler secured permission to relocate his factory to Brunlitz camp in Sudetenland as an armaments factory. A list of 1,000 Jewish prisoners, known as Schindler's List, was drawn up for the new camp. By the end of the war, Schindler had saved the lives of 1,200 Jews. He is recognized by Yad Vashem as righteous among the nations.
The South African Holocaust and Genocide Foundation's 3 centers in Cape Town, Durban, and Johannesburg teach about the consequences of prejudice and hate speech so as to prevent the recurrence of mass atrocities and genocide in all their forms. While all 3 centers are independent, they all share the same core values, guided by 3 principles as centers of memory, education, and lessons for humanity. History of mass atrocities and genocide, despite their wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not happen again. By studying the past and engaging in a study of memory, using education as a tool, we can learn and shape our understanding of the present, deepen our engagement with our communities, and develop ourselves as better human beings. The final part of our vigil will focus on human rights issues as prejudice, racism, othering, and xenophobia, and urge you to be an active voice against instances of hate speech and related human rights violations in your community.
Ndakwibuka amagambo twavuganaga, sibe ndakwibuka amagambo twavuganaga simenye ko aribwo bwa nyuma.
Oh, je kleine lichterlach, je dat zelt geschichterlach, meiselach von Amor. Je dat zelt Unmutigkeit, Heldigkeit und Gurigkeit, meiselach von Azol.
ndakwibuka amagambo twavuganaga simenye ko aribwo bwa nyuma. Nigendere sebana nigendere, nigendere ntore z'Imana, nigendere anye zigendere, nigendere ntore z'Imana.
Breaking that silent, that dark cloud.
The sky is almost constantly dark.
There's a Yiddish word called chmura. In Polish, a cloud is called chmura.
But in April, it's more of a constant rain, falling slowly.
Between forest and wilderness.
But we walked barefoot on frozen grass, and frozen grass is like needles.
I jump and then I swim crocodile eat.
To put one foot in front of another.
Katikati border. Refugee, Rwanda, Rwanda. Refugee, Rwanda, Rwanda.
And the wind it rained a lot. Children playing and dancing.
Ich käme und als die Geister im letzten Weg und ich mich freien, verstellen Leute. Kommen nicht noch unser Haus geweckt schon, sind doch heute und der trockene Sinn.
Sadly, hate speech, racism, and xenophobia still plagues our society in South Africa, even today. In 2008, deadly xenophobic attacks first swept through South Africa's townships and informal settlements. The wave of violence began on the 11th of May 2008, and by early June, more than 60 people had been killed, a third of them South African.
Hundreds had been injured, and tens of thousands had been displaced from their homes, finding refuge in makeshift refugee camps, community halls, and police stations. Sadly, these xenophobic attacks still continue to this day.
Xenophobia is a controversial and emotive issue. Some South Africans insist that it is criminality that lies beneath the attacks, rather than discrimination. Others turn the blame on the government, claiming that it is lack of basic service delivery that has led marginalized groups to turn on each other.
Not acting is an act. Not speaking is speaking. No physical characteristics define a person. There's no such thing as race.
Listening to Holocaust and Rwandan genocide survivors, we hear them call on us to recognize the dangers of indifference, apathy, and silence to South Africa's hard-fought freedom and democracy. We should all commit to a caring and just society in which human rights and diversity are respected and valued. Ask yourself, what can I do to make a difference in my own family, school, or community?
Firstly, we would like to thank everyone for joining us in this inspiring initiative. Today, the 30th of April, marks the end of Genocide Awareness Month. 75 years have passed since a third of the Jewish population was murdered in the Holocaust. 45 years have passed since over 1.5 million Cambodians were killed under the Khmer Rouge government. 26 years have passed since at least 800,000 Tutsis were slaughtered in just 100 days during the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. And sadly, the list of genocide and mass atrocities goes on and on. The month of April has seen the beginning of many atrocities throughout our history, and with each passing year, decade, and century, there will no longer be anyone to recount the horror people inflicted on one another. We will only be left with the books, films, testimonies, and the memory that will remain with us for eternity.
The majority of us gathered here today have not experienced a fraction of the horrors humanity has inflicted on itself, nor can we fathom the severity of trauma and suffering that live on in survivors. However, these mass genocides and atrocities are a part of our shared history, written in blood and tears. As the youth, we have the responsibility to ensure that the memory of these genocides is not lost or forgotten. It is our role to learn from the lessons of mass killings, like the Holocaust and the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, to learn that indifference is a form of perpetration. It is our role to understand that the lines that divide humanity into groups are not there to separate us, but to allow us to embrace our diversity. We need to understand that indifference towards each other is a dangerous weapon to wield. This indifference, coupled with viewing the other as inferior, can cause an us and them mindset.
History shows that when it becomes us against them, the line between what one person can do to another becomes horribly skewed. That is why we need to remember these events in our history. It is more than to honor the survivors and their families, but also to fight those that deny this history. It is so that generations may continue to work to fulfill the promise made by the world. Never again. In South Africa, we understand how discrimination divides people. Racism, xenophobia, sexism, and more all seek to define us by a single characteristic, rather than a summation of all our parts. We need to be aware of these types of discrimination and acknowledge the power our words and actions can have. As we all experience the COVID-19 pandemic around the world, we are fortunate enough to be able to commemorate the end of Genocide Awareness Month from the comfort and safety of our homes. We are here today and always, committed to learn the lessons, to remember, and to remind others to never forget.